Alright, what's up you guys? This is Devin with CenturyFX Studios, back with another video. First, I want to make mention of the coronavirus, aka COVID-19. We want to make sure that we're being smart, safe, sanitary, don't be in rooms with a lot of people, all that jazz. Make sure you're being very sanitary about everything that you do. Be smart, be safe, because you could save somebody's life. Alright, today we got a question in this video. We're just going to be answering a question. And I got a question from someone on YouTube by the name of QuickFacts. I don't know if it's a guy or girl, so if I get that messed up, don't think I'm trying to offend you. Of course, I don't know. But here goes the question. Hey, bro, what budget flashlight do you recommend? I assume you mean flash or speed light or something like that. I don't know, but I'm looking for a newer. I'm looking at a newer 670 TTL. What is your recommendation? I'm just learning about real estate photography and felt like it might be helpful. All right, so if you're just learning real estate photography, we need to get in that mind frame because we don't talk about real estate photography a lot on this channel. We typically talk about people taking we typically talk about people taking portraits of people. So let's talk a little bit about real estate photography. So let's get in that mindset. Real estate photography, you're going place to place, taking pictures of buildings, room, and some kind of architecture of some sort. So the first thing I think in my brain when I think about gear for real estate photography, and this is just a little side note, I'm thinking tripods. I'm thinking anything that'll keep my camera level. An electronic level. Most of the time, the newer cameras will have them inside of them. So making sure that everything's level, making sure that I know how to use manual mode. Why? Because manual mode will help you get more of the natural ambient light into the shot without having to worry about automatic or things of that nature. We need to make sure that we're white balancing correctly. This is some standard stuff for most photographers, if not all photographers. If you need to custom white balance, you need to go ahead. Why? Because light is coming inside the windows and things of that nature. So tripod and all that stuff is very, very necessary when it comes to doing real estate photography, because you don't want to keep cropping your images for a lack of being leveled. You also want to have some wide angle lenses. Some of the widest lenses you could probably find on the market that don't distort. You might want to look at some, I think they're called rectilinear lenses, or lenses that are designed not to distort. They're pretty expensive. You probably want some wider aperture lenses, but at the same time, you can stop down a lot more than somebody taking pictures of portraits or doing portraits. You can stop down a little bit more. You can do like f8 or f11, things of that nature, just to get everything in focus, because this is not like portrait photography. This is real estate photography, things like architecture and landscapes. So you're scaping your images. A lot of that stuff is going to be pretty much a wide angle shot, everything in focus. So think about it in that sense. Now we're talking about adding speed lights to the mix, and you said that you were thinking about buying a 670 or a newer NW 670. Now I did a little bit of research on this, and we had some more conversation in that YouTube comment section, but he ends up going, or she ends up going to say that, or they end up going to say that they ended up getting the flash, and the main reason is because of the ETTL feature. And yes, the ETTL feature is extremely important, and I'm glad that you actually got a flash with ETTL for probably your first flash or speed light. Now, some of the other things that you need to worry about, now I'm not going to tell you that having that flash is the end of the world. And you also said that you had the lithium ion version of this flash, so that's great as well. You don't have to keep going back and forth and buying batteries, but you have to be responsible about charging that one. Now, this flash itself, or speed light, whatever you want to call it, we're going to call it flash just for namesake. But when you're using this speed light in a room type of situation, you want to make sure that this speed light at least has some kind of umbrella and umbrella bracket with it as a backup. You might be saying, well, why would I need an umbrella and an umbrella bracket? And you also need a stand for that flash too. You want to shoot this flash off camera. Want to make sure we're shooting this off camera. You might be saying, well, why am I shooting it off camera? The first thing you want to understand about shooting it off camera is that shooting it off camera it'll leave you with the ability to have your own perspective as the camera operator. And then you're able to have the flash amplifying light coming in natural ways. Does that make sense to you? So basically, if a light is coming through a window and it casts a shadow at a certain angle, it needs to look like it would come in naturally as the house or whatever property that it would come in usually. So I know that sounded a little bit confusing, but basically you want to have the scene looking like it would naturally look if somebody would have purchased it, buy it, and lived there. You're just me personally, if I was a real estate photographer on a daily basis, I would want to amplify the scene based off of the light that's already coming in. So if you got light coming in at a window, it's casting a shadow at another side. You're gonna need to have your flash off camera to replicate that light and amplify it. You see? So those are some of the things you want to worry about as a photographer. That's what I would think if I was a real estate photographer. I wouldn't want light being cast in weird ways and coming from all kinds of different directions that don't have anything to do with the natural lighting pattern of the room itself already. And it's just like taking pictures of people. You wanna edit the face and retouch and stuff like this. And I've had issues with this in the past, but you wanna make it look real but believable, but stylized to the point where it looks good and it's a seamless transition from reality to what you might really actually see. Nothing too contrived. So get a stand, take it off camera, and you can have those abilities available to you. Also, with the modifiers, like I said, get a modifier and a flash bracket. This flash bracket will then hold the flash on the stand. But then that modifier will help you anytime you may or may not have white walls. See, a lot of people assume that they're going to have white walls wherever they go. They're going to assume that they're going to have everything made out for them. And you remember saying, well, what you need white walls for? If you ask me that question, you probably don't know about bouncing the flash. I'm pretty sure you know about bouncing the flash if you're doing real estate photography. But if you don't, bouncing the flash is a technique that you can use to diffuse the flash. You bounce the flash off of a white surface, and that white surface then becomes your light source or modifier. So then when you bounce off flash, you get nice diffused light that looks even for the most part across the room. Why? Because it's coming from a natural direction of light from top down onto your subject. And that's how sun is relayed in real life and things of that nature. But if you have a red ceiling or a brown ceiling or a bronze ceiling or whatever, the ceiling is coated with some kind of weird tiles, well, or ceiling tiles or whatever, you can't control what color the ceiling is, but you can control if you have an umbrella or something like that, or some kind of scrim that you can shoot into. So a scrim would be like a reflector or a big panel that's white, and then you bounce the flash up into that panel, and that panel serves as your new ceiling. Like I said, this flash itself is not bad. I don't want you to think that this is a bad flash to have. I recommended the Zoom lithium ion flashpoint. It don't even have to be the Zoom lithium ion version because it will save you money if you just got the 4 battery version, around $100, but or $110. Flashpoint or Godox, depending on where you live. Godox is the Chinese branch, I believe, and Flashpoint is the Adorama's adaptation to Godox, and they made it a different name. They just rebranded it. I think that's how it works out, but they're closer to America. So depending on where you live and based off of this COVID-19, will depend on whether or not you're able to get that product at a certain time. But you have to think about it in the sense that, in my opinion, I've only used Flashpoint, Yongnuo, and Canon and Nikon Speedlights. I haven't used the newer Speedlights. I've heard good things about them, but at the same time, when you get one that's, like you said, $60, $70, there's only so much a brand could put into a flash without compromising at $60 or $70. Like I said, Speedlight technology is not, it's not old. It's very, very, it's not old. It's very new. So you have to understand that since it's new, a lot of people don't have residual pieces of equipment that they can just modify in a short span and get you a flash out. They have to really find this stuff, buy it, design it, make it from scratch, and then give it to you, which takes a lot more time and money. So if you're not spending a lot of money for the flash, needless to say, you're probably not getting a lot, or they're compromising on some type of, luxury, like build quality or something like that. Well, I'm not gonna say build quality is a luxury, it's really a necessity, but you have to think about it in that sense that they're probably not giving you something that you probably want in that flash. And in this case, what they're not giving you is high-speed sync. Since you're paying $60, $70 for this flash, Now, Flashpoint is highly recommended from me because at the price point of $110 to about $180, $90, you can get a solid R2 zoom a Flashpoint flash, and this will give you all the modern, pretty much all the modern needs of a flash. This will be ETTL, high speed sync, all these integrated sync modes, multi-strobographic modes, slave modes, and you can wirelessly trigger it. You can do pretty much anything with a modern flash with this zoom R2 Flashpoint flash that I'm recommending to you. There's also a Godox version of it. It's like the V something, I don't know. But nevertheless, you want to have something that you don't have to upgrade all the time. You might find that this newer system is good for you and that'll be great for you. But at the same time, if you're shooting off camera, you don't want to be using your pop-up flash to trigger these flashes. And that's another reason why I recommended the Flash one, is because the R2 triggering system is one of the best triggering systems, because you can have pretty much any Flashpoint flash and they all can be triggered by one remote. Now, Canon and Nikon and all these other brands that started Speedlights when at their infancy, they don't have this luxury with all their products because they have so many different products on the market that had so many primitive pieces of technology in them that they couldn't actually use radio slaves at the time. So they got a whole bunch of flashes on the market that can't be used radio from your camera. Like, you can't trigger it off. You can't trigger it off camera. You can't make your flash wizard the master where your flashes are all over the room and really get a great product. And I think Newer is one of those brands as well, where they have a whole bunch of different products lines out there for Speedlights. They probably have a 600 version, probably have a 500 version, a 400 version, just like Canon and Nikon. Canon has a 400 series Speedlight. They got a 500 series Speedlight, and they got a 600 series Speedlight. But not all of them can be triggered from one main central unit. I found that Flashpoint, pretty much almost all the flashes that I bought from Flashpoint, I got a mono light from Flashpoint. I got a flash lithium ion X, the X version with the circular head on it, and I also have the square head version, which I am recommending to you, the regular R2 lithium ion Flashpoint. Now that one's about $175, $180, but you can also get the one with the 4 batteries in it, four my fingers, 4 batteries in it, and you can get it for about $110, and that'll probably be about $60 more than you spent, or $40 more than you spent on that other flash. But I'm telling you, I've never had to wonder about this flash. I've never had to wonder whether it was going to work, how consistent it was going to be. It never came into the question. But with my Yongnuo version, a Chinese version flash that chimped on a lot of the specs and build quality. Well, it didn't chip on the specs, but it chipped on the build quality. And it gave me everything I wanted, but it was not reliable. And it really, really threw me back. Because at the end of the day, you want to be able to build with your flash, but you don't want to have to keep getting different flashes. You want to have one system that works with you all the time. Yes, you want to make it affordable, but you also want it to be able to work and give you everything that you need. Last thing, high-speed sync is something that you would need. And if you don't know what high-speed sync is essentially your camera's ability to shoot at higher shutter speeds with your camera attached or sending signals to it. Now, most flashes can't shoot above about 1/200th of a second. For you as a real estate photographer or budding real estate photographer, you want to use high-speed sync. You want this ability at your side. Why? Because you have a lot of places that you're probably going to shoot in the daytime. Daytime means windows. Windows means windows letting light in. That's what essentially it means. So you're at mercy of the light coming inside of the room. You're already probably going to be stopping it down to your likes of f8, f11, maybe even f16, some f13, f16, something like that. And you want to have lenses that can do that, but at the same time, you're going to need to bring down the amount of light that you're seeing inside of the building. And f16 might not cut out as much light as you need. So you're going to have to think about it in the sense, I need to raise my shutter speed. If you need to raise your shutter speed, you're going to cut out a lot of light that's in there, but there's going to be some light that you need and some light that you don't need. There's going to be interior lights and there's going to be light coming in from the window. To balance all of this out, high-speed sync is a really, really good tool to balance out the interior lights from the exterior lighting coming in, the sunlight that's coming in, trying to divert your image. So if you're able to make, well, what I mean by divert your image, skew your exposure. So if you're trying to make an image that shows the outside looking like the clouds on The Simpsons, like you see clouds, you see blues, you see all this stuff that you would usually see as a human being, and then you see the lights coming on the inside, not the natural lights, but the artificial lights that they put in there, you're able to appreciate the entire scene as it was meant to be seen. Not these white windows with a whole bunch of light blasting in there. Nobody can tell the details of the blinds. They can't tell even if the blinds are square because there's a lot of flaring coming in from the windows, messing up your straight lines and your sharpness from the windows and all this other stuff. And all this chromatic aberration coming in at sharp edges and things of that nature. I'm getting off topic, but you essentially understand. Seeing the scene as it optimally is going to be seen. And that, as a real estate photographer, that's what I think you should be aiming for. Aiming to get maybe 2 or 3 flashes on a system like the Flashpoint system or the Godox system. I don't know anything about the newer system. If they have a similar system, stay with them. I'm not telling you not to buy them, and I'm not sponsored by any company telling you to buy this or telling you to buy that. I am just letting you know exactly how I would do it. Get a Flashpoint system. Have all of them have high-speed sync. Don't have to worry about that. That's going to be somewhere around $300, $400. Get about 3 flashes, $300, $400. Maybe even $500, depending on what kind of controller you get. And then I'll have at least 3 flashes when doing real estate photography at the optimal level. Now, usually I would stay with 1 flash for a while, then 2 flashes, but it's hard to do real estate photography with just 1 flash. Remember that. Know that, because having 1 flash in there in a big room, it's not going to work out all that great. And you don't want to be the photographer that says, hey, I can't do that because my stuff is limited, or I can't. That's the last thing you want to do, because word of mouth means everything. And if they don't think you can do something because you're at a level that won't, allow it, then long story short, get what you need, start building what you need. And those are some of the things that you can do to help you get better real estate pictures. I'm done with CenturyFX Studios. I know this went on for a long time, but you guys know I love talking about photography. You know it's me. You clicked on my face. You know who I am. Devin from CenturyFX. Guys, you know. All right, stay tuned for the next video.